I hope you like sloppy seconds, because we've got a heaping helping of some disgusting data for you today. We're gonna be peeling back the shower curtains and taking a deep dive into the belly of the beast. And I'm gonna be honest, we may not like what we find. And after silver, could gold be next? And if our most deepest, darkest concerns actually turn out to be true, what could that mean for Bitcoin's price? And some more absolutely eye-opening, jaw-dropping data for you to consume. Button your bean sprouts and tickle your toes. Let's dive in. Welcome back, you absolute and total savages. I'm your host, Spencer Spladoosh. I've had my milk, I've been burped, and I've been changed. So without any further ado, let's jump into the belly of the beast. Oh, so if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and if you're not afraid of a little bit of sloppy seconds, make sure to hit that notification bell as well to get updated when we put out these absolute jaw-dropping, news-breaking, emergency attention, critical alert updates. Tick-tock, the clock is ticking, so without any further spladoosh, let's spladoosh into the update. New week, new me, and we have a new weekly candle here for Bitcoin's chart, guys. So before we jump into some Bitcoin TA today, there are quite a few things that I want to talk about. So I want to start off here with Cameron Winklevoss tweeting a little bit about this silver squeeze, saying here, "The silver squeeze cannot be underestimated. It exposed that there are more paper claims on silver than actual silver. Not only would the payoff be enormous, but gold would be next. Bitcoin fixes this." Guys, we all know that one of the major competitors to Bitcoin, right, is gold. And many of us have been talking about for a long time the possibility that Bitcoin could absorb a lot of gold's market cap as a store of value primarily. So with the silver squeeze happening and potentially gold up next, because guys, what are the chances that these derivatives or these paper claims of gold are actually much different than the truth? Huge implications, especially for countries that have de-dollarized, mommy milkerized, and central banks with large gold holdings. The silver squeeze is going to tell us just how BS the silver and precious metal markets are. And you guys, if this does end up being an exposure of these precious metals, what are the chances that Bitcoin becomes even more attractive for its properties, further pushing gold to the sidelines? Absolutely massive. Now, something specifically having to do with Bitcoin that was brought to my attention on Ben's live stream this morning on BitBoy Crypto, that was brought to his attention by Cryptos R Us guys, is this. F2 Pool dumping absolutely savage, massive amounts of BTC on the market. Okay, you can see this chart going back quite a while, and you can see what's happened towards the middle and end of January of this year, guys. These red bars here are showing massive amounts of Bitcoin being dumped, being flooded onto the market. These miners, who absolutely make up a very large percent of the hash power of Bitcoin, of the mining power of Bitcoin, have been dumping recently, and this is absolutely one of the reasons, probably the biggest single reason why Bitcoin seems to be stuck in its current level, why we see Bitcoin absolutely struggling at these critical levels, where all signs point to Bitcoin being the strongest fundamentally and technically that it's ever been. As Ben stated here, F2 Pool is exactly why people are getting wrecked, guys. This is absolutely huge news. For example, people always say about whales manipulating the market, this and that. Well, as Ben pointed out, this is no longer kind of behind the veil. It's kind of just obvious, and it's about specifically who is doing it. We can see this. We can see this outflow. So the question is, how long can this go on, and what are the motives behind this absolutely critical, massive dumpage? But guys, with that being said, January, more than 22 million unique addresses were active in the network, sending or receiving Bitcoin, the highest monthly number in Bitcoin's history to date. So just more on-chain data, just more proof of fundamentally why Bitcoin is more attractive, more useful, more recognized, more necessary, and important than ever before, okay? So again, so many beautiful things going on with Bitcoin. This does not change any of my long-term price predictions for Bitcoin, whether it's being 6 digits per Bitcoin by the summer. Guys, I think we're still beautifully on track. This is something that, miners dumping on the market is not necessarily anything new, but I think it's just a little bit jarring to see just how much has been being dumped, specifically within the last 2 weeks. It is quite a large amount, and it just makes it painfully clear to everybody kind of the narrative behind Bitcoin, or what's actually going on the network behind the scenes, because these institutions are buying Bitcoin. Absolutely, they are buying Bitcoin. But there's also these absolutely very, very powerful miners that are also dumping on the market. So we have quite a battle going on right now, quite a lot to observe. And, with all that being said, Bitcoin's price, in my opinion, still remains extremely, extremely healthy. So if we want to start off here, guys, the weekly chart, obviously we got our monthly close yesterday. perfect, absolutely fine. We closed above those levels we talked about for like the past 2 weeks, so nothing else to say in regards to that. On this weekly chart, as you can see, still we have not had any significant weekly closes below the same key level of about 32, which more importantly on this weekly chart is just the 1.272 fib level. So again, on these longer term charts, even though there obviously has been some downward pressure from Bitcoin, on the technical side, Bitcoin's still doing everything we could have hoped and dreamed of. So if we go to this 1 hour chart, this battle just continues to intensify. You can see we're still trying to face some of these smaller short-term fib levels, the same one we've been battling and we've been talking about on this channel for what seems like forever at this point. Okay, this very critical level if we really zoom out here. More importantly though, the critical crunch zone between 35.5 and 34.5 has been unable to be breached. So guys, with that being said, I am not going to get excited about a breakout in the short term until we're able to actually get any significant 6-hour daily closes above 35.5. Okay, the only time that we've actually breached 35.5 in the past 2 weeks, the only time that's happened is because of the Elon pump, right? That was the only time we had like a $7,000 pump. Let's actually just measure it here. Yeah, it was roughly almost $7,000, roughly about 20%. But then immediately, it went straight up and then it went straight back down and basically just put us exactly in the same position we were prior to the pump almost immediately. Okay, and we zoom out to the 4-hour chart, you get a better idea of that exact same zone right here. Just still the critical battle zone. This is something we've been talking about for weeks and weeks and how important it is, and Bitcoin still so far, we've been unable to maintain these levels. But what I think, when we get these closes above 35.5, like I just mentioned, then I think it's very likely Bitcoin could be heading on a much stronger trajectory. However, you can see this is taking quite a while to play out. Still holding on some very key levels of our 6-hour chart. In fact, still basically I can even just extend this out. Still kind of just trading within this downward sloping channel. The only time we've actually broken out of it was because of that Elon pump. But guys, obviously, we broke immediately back into it. But one thing to note is that we're still kind of just riding this line to the upside here. And yeah, if we go to the daily chart, same thing going on here. We're still, this is actually kind of funny, we're still, ever since January 20th, just holding on to this second level of support on this daily chart for Bitcoin. I know a lot of you are curious about this chart to see if it's still holding. Yes, it's basically still just doing the same thing, riding up on this line after we had our single daily touch basically right on the 50-day moving average below it. Immediately basically just went right back above it. Continue to hold here. And the squeeze is real. We're below the 21-day moving average and fighting right on top of this speculative falling wedge here. Again, just holding these as support. But you see, there's really just no room, and that's why Bitcoin has just basically not been moving for the past 3 to 4 days. Honestly, though, what I'm waiting more for is for Ethereum to make a breakout move. Still holding above this 21-day, still holding within this ascending triangle. Just absolutely important. We just continue to monitor this. And guys, also, if we go to the DXY, what exactly is happening? This is absolutely groundbreaking. We're now above the 50-day moving average, and as I'm recording this, we're at a very critical resistance. If we actually zoom back all the way to, I believe it was 2017 and 2018, this whole zone right here, where it did find support back in 2017. This is just very critical for the DXY. So really, how high could the DXY go? Because if the DXY continues to actually switch into an uptrend over the next few months, that most likely will not spell pumpage for Bitcoin. In fact, they could spell dumpage for Bitcoin. However, up here around this like $92.5 level for the DXY, you can see there is some very clear what is most likely now going to be very, very strong resistance. We had much support back here for a lot of 2020. We can zoom back. You can see back in 2017 and 2018, a lot of strong support here as well. And then if you go back even further, back to 2016, you can see historically this is a pretty rough zone, and if support and resistance acts anything like it should, then this level up here, if the DXY could ever manage to get back up here over the next few months, most likely this would be a very strong resistance zone. And remember, the DXY has been beaten, battered, and bruised for basically the entirety of 2020 and so far into 2021. So seeing it bounce here, seeing it bounce what we're seeing right now, which again hasn't been too strong just yet, but if we continue to see it bounce here, still perfectly normal considering how much it's fallen. I mean, all you have to do is look at this, guy. I mean, this is absolutely insane. You go back to March of 2020 when we had the massive crash in the global markets with Bitcoin as well. you see the DXY spiked, but ever since then, the DXY has been on a massive downtrend, And as you can see, this isn't the first time that it's broken back above the 21 and 50-day moving average. It did here and then consequently failed. And that's basically, if I would have to guess what I think is most likely, that is exactly what I think is going to happen. You know, maybe it does continue to go up. Maybe it does actually come all the way back up to 92. Ultimately, I think it is going to just continue a downtrend. There's no fundamental reason whatsoever why this should be reversing and why it should all of a sudden be bullish. This is funny money. This is monopoly money. So with that being said, you know, when this does actually, you know, get a rejection at some point, if it does, then again, that spells massive pumpage for Bitcoin. Specifically down here to this $88 level is what I'm very excited to see the DXY battle if it does get down there, because if it breaks that, it's very likely we could be in free fall with the DXY and Bitcoin could absolutely initiate Moon Boosters 2.0. Wow, guys, so make sure to hit that like, make sure to subscribe as well. Make sure to follow me over on Instagram. I'm going to be posting some very interesting updates, specifically when I move and set up a new studio and everything like that. So I personally think that's pretty interesting. So if you want to check that out, make sure to follow me below on Instagram. We just did our first giveaway over there as well. And yeah, if you're interested in trading, you want to support the channel, make sure to take advantage of our limited time Bybit $620 deposit bonus. Never trade more than you're willing to lose. And without any further ado, toodaloo.